everybody. Lance Russell with Dave Brown, Corey Macklin, and Son of a Gun. A heck of a show today, David.
Oh, today I'm afraid we're going to have to be dealing with Brandon Baxter and his self-proclaimed group of legend slayers coming up today. But we also got some other things, too, like the USWA Tag Champions, PG-13, will be here. They were involved in a match, their titles against the NWA titles, and we'll have big news about a return match coming up.
Yes, sir, that Rock and Roll Express PG-13 match. Plus, our main event today is going to be Brian Christopher, Doug Gilbert. Guarantee you, never seen anything like it, the way those two guys get fighting when they get in there with each other.
And if you haven't heard, there's a brand new USWA heavyweight champion, Billy Jack Haynes. He'll be here in action today. Not only that, we got a standby. We got a lot of action. If we have time for it, we got a standby match, Scott Studd against Gorgeous George III, too.
David, we're always telling people when the USWA is around, expect the unexpected. Well, I got to tell you, sometimes it even tops our expectation. Oh, look at that big guy. Do you know him? We'll be telling you about him a little bit later on. That's the show. It's going to be a great one, and don't you miss a minute of it. We'll be back in just a moment. That little guy running around the ring, Brandon Baxter, get no shirt. What is this? Got that tie thing around it, a coat on in there. But I'll tell you one thing. This guy, Dave, has created some problems.
He sure has.
And I mean, not just for you and I. I'm talking about for everybody in the USWA. Let's take a look at some of the cheery things Brandon Baxter has brought about. There's something to look back on and... Hey, listen.
Yeah, look, we told you to sit down over there.
I'm sick and tired of hearing about these old men.
You don't have to sit around here in the audience, and you can just get out of here anytime.
You know what?
We got people.
I think it's great that you people are allowed to come from your nursing home every Saturday morning and be here. Now, do you know who I am?
No, I have no idea who you are.
What, have you been living your life in a cave? I am Brandon Baxter. I am the greatest manager in the history of professional wrestling. And not only am I the greatest, I am the best-looking manager in the history of professional wrestling. Now, let's go back and talk about how I was treated last week by you.
You're the one sat out here and interrupted.
From now on, I'm just going to call you Geese, all right? What I've done, I've gone back and I've looked at a bunch of tapes of the USWA in this area. And what have I seen? You show no respect to anybody. I saw one incident I liked a whole lot, though. It was one involving Jimmy Hart. I wanted them to show that tape today. But as always, you probably have been greasing the palms of the producers because that tape's not shown. You're the worst announcer in the history of wrestling. And, you know, do you remember that incident that Jimmy Hart did to you?
Oh, listen, I remember everything about Jimmy Hart.
I've got you a little present. I've got you a little present.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Why don't we just go ahead and relive that?
Hey, come on, all right. Now get that flower out of here, Brandon. I'll tell you what, you won't be back in here any at all. Hey, they got a surprise for you. Hands up. Jimbo.
Hey, you punk kid. You don't come out here and talk to Lancer Dancer. You show Lance Russell respect. Do you understand? Hey, people. Hey, I'll show you. Look in here, baby.
That's Brandon Baxter, who's the Moondogs manager. He got embarrassed when Handsome Jimmy came out, flowered him, caused, actually, because of the distraction, the wreck. He called Jimmy out here, said, get in the ring, and I'm going to take care of you. And Handsome Jimmy did. Here comes Tommy Rich rolling out. He rakes Jimmy across the eyes. Here comes Doug Gilbert and slams Jimmy right in the ribs with an iron pipe. Here is primetime Brian Lee. And once again, Doug Gilbert pounding Handsome Jimmy Valiant. While Brandon Baxter holds the feet, Tommy Rich holds the arms and the head. Jimmy ripped across the ribs. And now Gilbert leaning down with everything he can right on the ribs. I told you. Oh, no, I'm seeing what he's got over here. Primetime Brian Lee out. As they're going to tar and feather Jimmy. What kind of lousy deal is this? As they come out, dumping the feathers all over Jimmy. Oh, that's really funny. Yeah. And here comes.
Okay, we're ready for opening bout today on USWA Championship Wrestling. One fall, a 10-minute time limit for tag team action. First introducing at a combined weight of 547 pounds from Orlando, Florida. Here is primetime Brian Lee and his partner, Iron Man Jimmy Harris. And in their corner, Brandon Baxter. Their opponents today, combined weight of 449 pounds, from Memphis, Tennessee, Ken Raper. And his partner, wrestling out of Miami, Florida, Brickhouse Brown. One fall, a 10-minute time limit. Bill Rush is referee, and guys, we're ready for our opener here today.
Right on top of you, Corey, with the bell, and Ken Raper starting out against Iron Man Jimmy Harris in a good opening tag match.
Ken Raper taking a measure of Jimmy Harris. Jimmy Harris sort of toying with him a little bit, hanging back in the corner. That's an evil laugh that he has, as if to say, so you think you can beat me, huh? Well, let's try it. And now they tie it up in the center of the ring. Ken Raper with a headlock on Iron Man Jimmy Harris. Primetime Brian Lee back in Harris's corner. Brandon Baxter over there, too. Always a factor you have to consider. Raper off the rope. Runs into the iron. Oh, nice move by Ken Raper. Jimmy Harris blocked him, but he reversed him, and Jimmy Harris found himself not once but twice flying across the ring. Ken Raper over to the corner has made the tag on Brickhouse Brown.
The Brick ready to go against primetime Brian Lee. And, of course, outside the ring, Brandon Baxter, voted America's biggest pest by us, if nobody else, I'll guarantee you that. Brickhouse, whipped in, elbow follows, misses, and look at Brickhouse go with the right hand. He still swings that right with authority. Puts Brian Lee down on the mat. Brandon Baxter has found out, though, I think, Dave, USWA a little bit tougher than he thought it was going to be.
Yeah, he came in here bragging about where he had been. Well, ain't the same. Welcome to the USWA, where he has really had some pretty rough times in the time that he's been here.
I'm happy for you to say.
Yep.
Ken Raper back in with a standing headlock. Tough hold, even as big as Ken is, to have on a guy as big as Brian Lee. Oh, yeah, look at Brandon going after the foot. Ken Raper reacted, and, of course, that gave Lee exactly what he wanted. The back to whale away on, and he takes him over and hammers his head right into Jimmy Harris.
Ken Raper thrown down in the center of the ring. Jimmy Harris comes in with a big boot. Raper made a mistake. Not of his own making. Give Brandon Baxter credit for it, getting him in trouble here. And now Raper bounced hard on his back over near the corner. Jimmy Harris, the Iron Man, picks him up. Back under the ropes. A whip across the ring. A clothesline. Wasn't the most powerful one I saw, but he got him right in the throat. So it did the damage.
Here comes Lee.
Prime time. Holding Ken Raper by the hair. Ken reaching for the corner where Brickhouse Brown wants the tag, but he's a long way from the tag. It's even longer now. Brian Lee sends him into the ropes. Plants that big boot coming off of there. Here comes Brickhouse. No tag made. Brian Lee took a shot at him over there, and Brickhouse came after him. Look at Brandon Baxter working on him from outside.
You're a hero, Brandon, no doubt about it. Lee draped him over that rope, and Baxter grabbed his head while he was choking him on that middle rope. On the shoulder, and slammed down to the mat. Tag to the Iron Man.
Jimmy Harris coming back in the way he seems to know how best, and that's with the boots. He throws Ken Raper back into the turnbuckles, goes in with his shoulder, driving him back into the turnbuckles time after time. Referee Bill Rush trying to get him out of the corner. Well, he does, but he just throws Ken Raper down on the mat.
Iron Man Jimmy Harris is a physical specimen, no doubt about that, and he is using all of that power to pound on Raper. Of course, it all originated back to getting Raper in trouble with Brandon Baxter when he reached out to grab his foot. The whip, Raper in, missing with the arm, and Raper goes cross body. Look at Lee, 1, 2. He was about to fight him off, but he couldn't make it all the way.
And the best thing that happened right there for Ken Raper is he was close to the corner. He alertly made the tag on Brickhouse Brown. They're all going at it. Prime time, Brian Lee and Ken Raper. Look out. Down here on the floor, you got Brickhouse Brown and Jimmy Harris. Brickhouse wailing away with the right hand. Meanwhile, Ken Raper had primetime. Brian Lee rolled up. The referee didn't see it. Brandon Baxter rolls in, reversed it on him. There's a count of 2 and 3, and Brian Lee and Jimmy Harris are going to win it. The referee was watching what was going on the floor and didn't see the initial pin.
Yeah, great. What are you doing in the ring? Get out of here. We're going to take time out. We'll be back in just a moment. Well, we've still got some great stuff to go here. Our main event today is Brian Christopher and Doug Gilbert, and that's not all. We've got PG-13 will be here.
Billy Jack Haynes.
Yeah, the new USWA heavyweight champion, Billy Jack Haynes, will be here. And those are some of the things that you can expect on this particular show today. But by golly, one of the things that makes it so exciting and why we can keep our fire and love it after all the years is you never know what's going to happen. I guess we've said that a million times over the years.
But anything can happen. How many times have we seen it? But I don't think I've ever heard of anything quite as bizarre as what happened a few days ago.
Absolutely, and this is one of the reasons why when it comes to, this is a good commercial, but it's the absolute truth. When it comes near you, brother, you better be there because you never know what's going to happen. We had a situation where a bout was underway. Mr. World Class and T.D. Steele were banging away at each other, and all of a sudden, one of the biggest, and I mean not only in names, but biggest guys in the entire wrestling business comes strolling. Look at that. If you didn't recognize him, that is Vader. He comes down to the ring. Gene Johnson, the referee, is grabbed first by Vader. He pounds on him right to the midsection, doubles him over, and he's not done. Just slipped that big knee. That leg of his weighs 150 pounds on each side, Dave.
And he immediately took the referee out. And then as the match the guys were attempting to continue the match, Mr. Muscle had a rude awakening there, too, as Vader went after him.
Yeah, Vader pounds in there against World Class after World Class had thrown T.D. Steele down. He just stepped into the middle of the match. The crowd, open-mouthed, standing and hollering because here, and T.D. Steele from behind nails him, but not for long.
Well, you got to give TD an A for effort there to go against that big guy, but look what happened in return as he picked him up, pulled him back to the corner, and then went after him.
Huge, and he picks TD up and hammers him down, and look, World Class back on his feet. And that's not for long either. It was really one of the most bizarre, spectacular things that we've seen in a long time. And one of the reasons why we just love week after week to keep going, because you never know in the USWA what's going to happen. Who would have ever said strolling down right in the middle of a match is Vader? He jumps in and tears up T.D. Steele, world class. The referee, Corey Williams, we didn't catch that, or maybe he hadn't hit the ring yet. Yeah, there he is. He comes running in, and look at Vader. Caught him with that forearm, Dave, and that's like being hit with a telephone pole right in the mouth.
Yeah, he turned him a 360-degree flip. He just flipped him completely over in the ring. Corey Williams landed, and there he is, surveying the destruction that he's left.
And it was everywhere. The crowd was on their feet about 10 minutes after that, still thinking he was going to come back and try to clean out another half a dozen or so. There it is. You never know what's going to happen, so be there with us next time. That was a fun time, I guarantee.
Ooh, I tell you, interesting time, no doubt about it, but everybody was kind of standing back a little bit.
Yeah, really, you don't want to get too close to that guy. We'll take time out and be back in just a moment. I loved it. Controversy between NWA, USWA, that's that rock and roll PG-13 I'm sure that you've heard about. Well, there's two sides to every story in most cases. One of them is represented. We deserve it. Let's listen to Rick and Robert about what they think on this situation.
You know, I cannot believe this. Every time we turn around, it seems like USWA has got to do something against the Rock and Roll Express. I don't understand one thing. We got a match coming up where there's two referees. Well, my man Mark's going to be out there, and Randy Hale. I do not know what Randy Hale's involvement is. This, do you know, Mark? Did you do something to him?
I can't think of anything that I've done to Randy Hales that would warrant this. Tell me about it, Ricky. What do you think?
I do not understand. This conspiracy against us, against the Smoky Mountain Wrestling. But you guys remember one thing. It don't matter who you bring down that ring. It don't matter Wolfie and Jamie Dundee, what you call yourself PG-13. It don't matter to us. Because when we step in that ring, one thing that we're going to do is to dominate, because we are the NWA World Tag Team Champions. And what we're going to do, brother, and Randy Hale, what I want you to know is do not stick your nose where it don't belong, because my man Mark is here to take care of it.
By any means possible.
The other side of it, PG-13. Let's see what they've got to say.
Rock and Roll Express. It's time to get it on one more time. You know, we've been rocking and rolling with the Rock and Roll Express, but this time we got two referees. That means Rock and Roll Express, the next time you go into those tights and pull out a chain, the next time that you go in to get some powder, the next time Miss Andrea steps up to interfere, there's going to be another referee by the name of Randy Hale standing there to tell her to get her butt out or to tell you to put that chain back. And the odds are going to be in our favor from now on, because you know that PG-13 in a 2-on-2 situation, we are the better team. Ain't that right, Iceman?
That's right, D-Man, because you see Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, you see what this says? It says PG-13 rules, and that's what it means. 1995 is our era, Jack. It's our year. Do you read this sign behind me? USWA Championship Wrestling. That is where we work. Not NWA, but we are fixing to be NWA, USWA Tag Team Champions. We're taking it straight to the top, baby.
Looking forward to that coming up this week. We've got action right here in the ring. First, introducing a combined weight of 473 pounds from the Mississippi Riverboats. Here is the Gambler and his partner from Hollywood, California, Gorgeous George III. Their competition today, combined weight of 397 pounds, wrestling from the hood, JCI Star Wolf PG-13. We're ready for this one. This one's going to be a great.
The USWA Tag Champions bringing their belts to the ring. This is a non-title match, but those belts will be on the line later on in the week against the NWA belts. There they are. Wolfie D, JC Ice, PG-13 set to do battle here today.
This could be a very good match, Dave, with Gambler and Gorgeous George III. Bell time, we're going to find out right now. Wolfie starting out against the Gambler. I'd like to get Randy Hales to get his comments on this controversy that started with Rock and Roll Express, because that's really an unusual situation. Beautiful move. Wolfie hooks that arm and takes GG3 over and down and on the mat. It's a good team, though, that Wolfie and the Iceman are facing. Gambler and Gorgeous George III. They both can go. Oh, he went all right. Look at this.
Here's Randy right here. Randy, you're going to be one of the referees. Going to be two referees in this match involving PG-13 with the NWA belts and USWA belts on the line.
It's a situation, Dave, where normally I don't interfere with our referees. Mark Curtis, we had him there. The NWA assigned him. Of course, everybody that saw that situation disagreed with him. I feel that he was sent there by Rick Morton and Robert Gibson, and they kind of pulled one over on me. That's the way I feel. That's why I want to be in there and make sure that it's called down the middle. That's all I want, called straight down the middle.
Well, you're right. With that situation, there was a licensed referee assigned to the match. He was doing his job, whether he missed something or not. I mean, that happens in wrestling matches. Curtis was almost acting as though he were a second to Rock and Roll Express.
That's right. The situation was when he came in, got on the microphone, he was insulting our building, insulting our fans, insulting our wrestlers, saying, you know, we're proud of the USWA. We're proud of the great wrestling talent we have here in the USWA. And for him to be honest with you, Dave, I just lost my cool in that situation with Mark Curtis.
In the ring, Wolfie D with a side headlock on the Gambler, but not for long as he hammered away across the back. And there's the tag on George III. Look at Wolfie respond. There's a situation of why this young man has really developed over the last couple of years. He took that last second ping, turned it into an advantage after he had been hurt, and he was hurt again. Right hand, and referee Bill Rush over. Bending the ear of the Gambler is Gorgeous George III. Makes the tag back to him, and Wolfie could take a lesson from that. He needs to make a tag and get over to J.C. Ice.
You can't take Gambler or Gorgeous George III lightly, even though they don't wrestle that much together as a tag team. They're both experienced tag team wrestlers with other partners. Look at that. Put the neck breaker on him. Gorgeous George III with a cover. 1, 2, oh, at 2 count, Gorgeous George III is upset. He thought he got a slow count from the referee.
Head right into the foot of the Gambler, and the tag is made, and the Gambler and Gorgeous George III are doing more than holding up their end of it. Randy, I got to tell you, Curtis, when he comes to a match like that as an observer, he was a long way from just being an observer. If he's an observer for the NWA, he sits down, he looks at it, he writes up a critique and sends it into the office after it's over. He doesn't come in and try to take things over like that.
That's exactly right, Lance. He overstated his boundaries. We have the situation in a return match, which is fortunate because it's hard to get World Tag Team title matches anywhere. We're fortunate to have the return, and I'm looking forward to it coming up this week.
Don't you think it was also sort of almost the ultimate insult to the USWA and its fans? They didn't even bother to bring the belts with them, and then they had some story that they were being refurbished.
It's all a plot. You know, there's no doubt in my mind. I feel like I said, he pulled one over on me.
Whipped him in, and from the diagonal corners, they pounded him. There's the Gambler rolled up. He rolls Wolfie up. J.C. Ice over. DDT's the Gambler right down on the mat. Referee Bill Rush starts the count. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thanks, Randy.
PG-13 as J.C. Ice gets the count of 3, and now Gambler and Gorgeous George III are having a bit of a disagreement between the partners there. They're both unhappy that they ended up getting pinned, so it's back to the drawing boards for them.
Gambler thought he had him, and he did, as a matter of fact, but Wolfie on a nice reversal rolled him right over. Bingo! 1, 2, 3. Not all of it. We got a bunch. Still got Brian Christopher, Doug Gilbert, our main event for today's USWA Championship Wrestling. Back in a moment. Billy Jack Haynes, he's known throughout the Pacific Northwest for some time. We haven't seen him in this area quite as much as they have in others, but brother, I'll tell you, they know him now. He carries the USWA heavyweight title belt, having defeated Brian Christopher for it. And here is the new champion, Billy Jack Haynes.
When I came to the USWA, I knew they had the toughest wrestlers. That's why I'm here. Now, I said I was a street fighter in Portland, Oregon, a 10-year amateur boxer who's been there with the best pros, and a professional wrestler for 15. So you take that combination together, and it spells fear. Fear that I brought to the USWA. So you all listen to what I'm saying out there. Now, Brian Christopher was a great champion, like they've had champions in the past. But it took me one shot, and one shot only. And now I am the USWA champion, and now you, Lance Russell, Corey Macklin, Dave, whatever the weatherman's name is, Lawler, everybody here has to pay attention because I am the USWA champion. You understand?
Well, you are as long as you hold the title. But Brian Christopher is getting a rematch, and he had some comments. Now, you just wait a minute. Let's listen to what Christopher had to say.
You're looking at one mad man right now. You're looking at somebody that's hot under the collar because Billy Jack Haynes is running around here with my USWA heavyweight title around his waist. And I know you can hear me, Billy Jack. I know you're somewhere out there looking at me. And believe me, I'm going to stay mad. I'm going to stay hot under the collar until I get my hands on you one more time and get a shot back at my belt because everybody knows that USWA heavyweight title, that's my belt. I've held it longer than anybody else around here, and I'm not planning on losing it against a jerk like you, Billy Jack. So when I do get my hands on you, there's going to be more of the same like it was last week. All that blood that you spilt out of your big fat head is going to be laying all over that ring because I'm planning on not only winning that belt, but I'm going to hurt you in the process. So get ready, get my belt ready because I'm going to be there to take it back, Billy Jack.
Well, I hate to remind you, but you're the man with the gospel of fear. You go around preaching about fear. Did he sound like he's afraid of you, Billy Jack?
The bottom line is I am the champion, USWA champion. I don't care what town. I don't care if it's Memphis, Louisville, Evansville, Nashville. You all understand I'm the baddest and toughest man in the world, and nobody can carry my jockstrap, period. And this punk's going to find out, and the USWA found out, and I am the best champion, the baddest he ever had, and F-E-A-R is fear into every man in the USWA. You got it!
Okay. Boy, I wonder about that guy sometimes. I'm not kidding you. Let's go to Corey.
He'll make a dangerous goal quick. I mean, in a hurry. We're ready for action right here in the ring. One fall with a 10-minute time limit here today. First introducing 260 pounds from Memphis, Tennessee, Mr. Clyde. The opponent for him today, 280 pounds from the Pacific Northwest of Portland, Oregon. Here is the USWA heavyweight champion, Billy Jack Haynes. We're ready for single action right here. Back to Lance Russell, Dave Ryan.
All right, Mr. Clyde has his work cut out for him here today, and then some, let me tell you.
That's to stay alive. Pardon.
You know, you're right about this guy. When you look in those eyes, when he was walking to the ring there, I think he needs some special health care, maybe, this Billy Jack. He is some kind of strange animal.
You know, Dave, we were standing there talking, and the guy was making sense going on, and all of a sudden, boom, like a light switch, he turns on you.
Scary.
Scares me.
Yeah, he talks about fear. He's got fear running up the side of his tights there.
You bet I'm talking about fear. Brian Christopher better learn about fear, because I'm the champion of the USWA. That's fear.
Nobody's denying that. All you got to do is be man enough to keep it. And that's part of it. Getting it's one thing. Keeping it's another thing.
That's true. Man, what a drop kick. Mr. Clyde just standing there, and Billy Jack just came right up off his feet and popped him down to the mat.
He's a big guy.
Oh, he's huge.
Yeah.
He's huge. Well, he's talking about putting fear in the hearts of everyone in the USWA. He pretty well got me convinced. I don't want to get too close to him.
Got one convert right here and one sitting next to him. Mr. Clyde down with that double clutch. He caught him right across the throat. Put him down on the deck and up in the air. Down goes Mr. Clyde. This will be it. 1, 2, 3.
Man. Oh, my goodness. Well, Mr. Clyde, I mean, let's face it, never really had a chance against this guy. Billy Jack is just running roughshod.
There is no rules, is there?
Well, yeah, there are rules. There are rules. Now, whether you abide by them is that. Now, wait a minute. Wait.
Hey, come on. What are you doing? You got the guy beat for crying out loud. Billy Jack Haynes up there. Here's Brian. Here comes Brian Christopher. Puts a foot in the midsection. Nails Haynes right on the head with a chair. Brian Christopher has the chair again. Haynes smart enough to get out of here. Boy, is he mad. Does that look like fear?
No, I don't believe Brian is afraid of it. He came running in there, and there goes Billy Jack.
That's what we needed to see right there. The kind of fire, not fear, that's down in the belly of Brian Christopher. We'll take a break and be right back.
Okay, we're ready for the main event right here today on USWA Championship Wrestling. Here today to the expiration of our time. Coming up, referee Bill Rush is the referee assigned for this bout, making his way to the ring area. 245 pounds, led by Brandon Baxter. Here is Dangerous Doug Gilbert. His opponent today, 222 pounds, from Memphis, Tennessee, is the former USWA heavyweight champion for a long time, is Too Sexy, Brian Christopher. Here we go with action right here in the ring. It's Christopher and Doug Gilbert coming up on USWA Wrestling.
Don't need anything to get him fired up between Christopher and Gilbert, but I got to tell you, after the Billy Jack Haynes incident in here, I'm not sure that's going to help Doug's cause any.
That's very true. Of course, Doug can hold his own anywhere. These guys, you talked about it earlier in the program. When these two guys get in the ring against each other, everything, I think even maybe the Billy Jack thing goes out the window. These two face each other, and it's all intensity. Brian against Doug. Baxter in the corner. I don't like the looks of that either, though.
That's the ingredient that we normally haven't seen, but since Doug Gilbert is with the Brandon Baxter stable, he's over here in the corner, and we're going to have to see how that plays out with Brian Christopher. Christopher shaking that finger, ties it up, collar and elbow. Doug, the heavier of the two, rushes him back into the corner. They trade licks, and this is a typical scenario. These guys hate each other and really pour it all out when they're in one-on-one. Beautiful slide and a follow-up right from Brian Christopher. Oh, he loves this. And Doug Gilbert pounded back across the ring. Now he's on the floor, Dave.
Whoa, what a slide. Doug Gilbert hanging at the ring apron, thought he was out of harm's way, and Brian Christopher, like he was sliding into second base, came in with a boot up and caught Doug Gilbert right on the chin. I thought for a second he'd knock a tooth out, but he didn't. Well, he was trying to get a piece of wire. I don't think he was able to get it loose. There's a piece of heavy cabling that holds up the bottom part of the ring there, and Doug was trying to get a piece of that to bring in, obviously, to use it to choke. Look at this.
He came back ready for it, and Gilbert nailed Christopher a few times, and now Brian, after the whip, puts Gilbert right back down. There's that infuriating laugh, and then follows it with a right hand.
A powerful right hand. Look at this. He bulldogs him across the ring. Doug Gilbert finds himself upside down, hanging in the ropes. He rolls out of the ring again. Brian Christopher right there to grab him by the hair. Doug up on the ring apron. Christopher grabbing it tight, snaps him over the rope, down to the mat. Does he go for a cover? Yes. 1, 2. Oh, no, only a 2 count. I thought he had him there for a second, but Doug Gilbert able to break out of it. Man, what action we got going here in the main event today.
Christopher thought he had him too, and there he is, Brandon Baxter. He reached out and grabbed him right by the foot. And Christopher goes right down on his face, and Doug Gilbert, to take advantage of it, starts gnawing on his right eye. Gilbert has got Brandon Baxter up on the steps while he takes the referee away, choking Christopher, and Brandon Baxter screaming at Brian. In a reverse atomic knee, Dave.
Brian Christopher now in trouble. Doug Gilbert was in trouble the first 2 or 3 minutes of this match all the way. It was all Brian Christopher. But again, Brandon Baxter gets involved, trips Brian up, and one thing Doug Gilbert will do, if he sees an opening, he goes for it, and that's what he's done. He slams Brian over into the turnbuckle, breaks him across the back with the fingernails, slaps him with an open hand, now a double fist, choking. He's trying everything to get the advantage and keep it on Brian Christopher.
Christopher taken over to what is Gilbert's corner, draped over that turnbuckle, and look at Brandon Baxter again. Grabs him by the head, helps choke him right down on that middle rope. And Christopher rolls back toward the center as Gilbert picks him up, whips him across the ring. In the air again with a bear hug, and Doug Gilbert trying to follow up on a situation that was set up by a Brandon Baxter trip. And Christopher has not been able to fight his way out of it since that time. Right hand again, and Gilbert right back into that bear hug, staying right on it. He's trying to go for that position where he can get him in a 1, 2, 3, Dave.
Oh, look at that by Brian. Whoa! I tell you what, this young man has some moves, doesn't he?
Mean moves.
Doug Gilbert, on the other hand, not much of a finesse wrestler. He just relies on raw power and a double-up right hand. And Brian Baxter has decided time for him to get back out of the way, as Brian Christopher was looking for him.
Gilbert down on the mat. Christopher up the ladder, off that top rope. Drops right down.
Brandon Baxter waving Billy Jack Haynes into the ring, interfering in this match. We have a great main event going, and what happens? Brandon Baxter sends in Billy Jack. Billy Jack Haynes grabs Brian. This is big trouble. 2 against 1. No, make it 3 against 1. Here comes Bill Dundee.
Dundee rips the right at Haynes. Goes after Gilbert. Brandon Baxter waving again, and here comes Iron Man Jimmy Harris.
4 against 2. They got to keep the numbers on their side.
They do, in fact, do that every time you see him. Dundee, here comes Lawler. The King grabs Billy Jack. Rips a right on him. Goes after Harris. Dundee goes after Billy Jack. Gilbert choking Brian Christopher. Here's Brian Lee. He hits the King from behind. Drives him down. And the ring full of big, angry men as the pounding goes on. Doug Gilbert choking Brian Christopher. I don't believe for 1 minute those guys are going to listen to the bell, but I thought I would try.
I don't know how we're going to get this one out of here. The referee obviously is overmatched at trying to restore order. And Doug Gilbert has now choked Brian Christopher to the point where he's just lying over the corner over there. There's Doug. He's out talking to the crowd. So now
Baxter got him out of there.
If they think that was bad, I can't wait until we get him in the ring again.
Well, you're going to have the chance. Yeah, I saw. Look at, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do we got? 3 guys up there?
5 against 3.
Yeah, very good, fellas. I'm really impressed. I'm impressed how mean they are, no question about that. We'll take time out, and we're going to be back in a moment.
We're ready for action right here in the ring, right here on USWA Wrestling. 191 pounds from parts unknown. Here is the Yellow Jacket. His opponent today, making his way to the ring. There he is, 229 pounds from Atlanta, Georgia, Scott Stud. One fall, a 10-minute time limit. Bill Rush is referee, and Dave, we're ready for him.
All right, here we go. Scott Stud has to be the favorite in this match. Yellow Jacket's been around. Scott Stud, though, has really been quite impressive in his run in the USWA here. He came in, we knew a little bit about him, not a whole heck of a lot, but has really handled himself well when we have seen him in action.
Nice fireman's carry throw with Scott Stud as he went under and crotched up on Yellow Jacket. Took him over and down. Scott also should be very happy that he's made a lot of people happy. The fans really love this guy, and he is a good wrestler, a good, clean wrestler, and he is one of these guys who can get aggressive when he has to. He's not afraid to let it all out when the occasion calls for it.
Absolutely true. Yellow Jacket wrestling under the mask. Finds himself in trouble almost from the opening bell. Scott Stud took control of it. He's got that left arm twisted and putting a little extra pressure on it. Elbow and shoulder, especially the elbow, taking a real beating on that. Yellow Jacket used the cheap shot to get out of it.
Referee Bill Rush is having kind of a rest compared to what he's had today, huh?
He's had a week, let me tell you.
Oh. Armbar right at the shoulder. Yellow Jacket with Scott Stud. Scott started out, had the advantage going in there. He's kind of lost the momentum. And he goes up top with a double wrist lock on him. And a handful of hair takes care of that. Well, there's more than one way to get out of trouble, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's you talk about Bill Rush. Got to be a bonus just having two guys in there. A few minutes ago, there were 9 of them in the ring, not including him. 10 altogether.
Yellow Jacket, the cover one. He didn't really have a serious threat at covering, but you never know. All it takes is 3 counts, and we've seen matches on rare occasions where a guy who's kind of in a rest period and mentally goes to sleep, and before you know it, the referee has said 3, and all of a sudden he's lost a match. Well, that I don't think is going to happen to Scott Stud today. He pretty alert wrestler from behind with the knee in the back. And the chin lock held by the Yellow Jacket. Scott Stud trying to work his way up off the back. Does so. Now. Oh, I've always thought every time I've seen that.
Yeah.
It's got to hurt, man. Your teeth go.
Got to rattle you totally. And, you know, it's dangerous, too. It can hurt Scott, too, if it's not done exactly right. He finally did break out of the hole. Yellow Jacket fired into the rope. Nice drop kick by Scott Stud. He takes a moment to celebrate. I think he earned that celebration as he finally broke out of the chin lock. And now he's got the Yellow Jacket, picks him up in the air, drops him down with a suplex, and there's the cover. Counted 2. I thought he had him.
So did he.
I was ready to give him the 3 count, but Yellow Jacket's still alive. Brings the boot up as he comes off the ropes. Scott Stud fired into the ropes. Look out. Again, he picks him up, drops him down. This time he holds the shoulders. Referee crawls around the ring, counting 1, 2, 3. It's over. Give the victory to Scott Stud.
You notice how he hooked that leg when he went in to take him up and over. Dave had him so that when he hit the mat, there was no time wasted. He had his shoulders down, and the referee was able to pop the 1, 2, 3. And he got it that time, or the previous time, he only got a 2 count.
Well, the standby match we ended up with, we had that great main event, but of course it was interrupted by Brandon Baxter sending Billy Jack in, and then we ended up with a free-for-all going on. Great action, but not the ending to the match. We had hoped to see a pin there between Brian and Doug Gilbert. It's going to end up Brian Christopher winning it on disqualification.
And that looks like about it today. We appreciate your being here with us, but believe me, as we said a little bit earlier, you be sure and know that every time that you think that you know what you're expecting on the USWA, it may not happen that way. It's been fun for Corey Macklin and Dave Brown. We'll be looking for you to be right back here with us next week. And until we see you, bye-bye, everybody.
The announcers